All hail Biafra. This is Biafra Liberation Army Network coming to you again. Please like, share, and comment.
Our leader Nnamdi Kanu, even though he held very strong and he was bold when he said he has no case to answer. But as we all know, Justice James Omotosho was pressing, pleading with him just to enter a case because his hands were tied. He was pleading with Nnamdi Kanu. So today, our leader decided to put a form of defense in his case, and everybody was blown away. He told them that, Your Honor, Justice James Omotosho, you cannot even detain me because there is no case, there is no charges against me known to the laws of Nigeria. Set me free, allow me to go. Those were the first statement of Nnamdi Kanu. But the judge said, it's only fair, it's only right. It is only just that they hear from his own side through a form of a defense. Because right now what he's doing is trying to instruct the law or the judge or the court on how to go about his case. That why doesn't he put it in a form of a defense? So our leader, being who he is, a man of high sense and foresight, an intellectual, we know how reputable he is in his defense, the way he commands himself and his English. He was able to put down to today, letting the judge know that for the fact that he was on his holiday in Kenya, Nigeria came to Kenya to kidnap him, brought him down to Nigeria through what they call an extraordinary rendition. The onus falls upon the Nigerian government. They have to be here present to mention to the whole world how they were able to kidnap him from Kenya to Nigeria. He also highlighted the killing of the Christians, that today he has been made vindicated, that even America is now speaking on the behalf of the Christians. Now, these were the things he saw way back since 2012 when he came out from Matsob and had to create the IPOB movement. Because at that time, Matsob were taking their time, they were dilly-dallying. Now we understand that a man like Ralph Wazurike was, to an extent, his hands were tied, for lack of a better word. So he said this was the reason why he called out that if Nigeria would do nothing about it, being an advocate for Nigeria back in London, when he spoke about what is happening in the north, Boko Haram and the rest of them killing the Christians. And in 2012, he noticed that Nigeria is doing nothing about it. So he said, if Nigeria will do nothing about it, if they will fold their hands, then it is time for him to safeguard his people in a most respectful way that is known to man and international law. Hence, he called for the referendum, or a peaceful referendum, asking Nigeria to set a date for Biafrans to decide. But as we know what happened, Nigerian government, they refused. The Igbo so-called politicians, they refused. Instead, they colluded with the Nigerian government to come to the land of Nnamdi Kanu to kill him in the house. And before you knew it, he spoke about how an ordinary radio transmitter, he was held by Nigerian customs, and before you knew it, the federal government got involved, and that led to charges to him. And since October 2015 till October 2025, it is now, as you can see, how long it's taken. 10 whole years to this case that started from a so-called importation of a radio satellite, or whatever they call it, transmitter. He also spoke about how, while he was enjoying his bail, very happy to defend his case, he was enjoying his bail, the Nigerian government came with a new dimension. The Buhari government sent his Islamic military men to the home of Nnamdi Kanu. Prior to that, there was the Python Dance 1, Python Dance 2, Python Dance 3. Army coming to flex their muscles in Biafra land. While in the north to today, we see what is happening, that way back since 2009, they did nothing to Boko Haram. And today, America is bringing the stats before them, and now they are panicking like chickens that have lost their head. They are panicking, they are sweating, trying to pretend that there's no genocide in Biafra land. But we know what they did when the Buhari government came to the home of Nnamdi Kanu to kill him, a man on bail. They came to kill him. In the process, 28 people lost their lives, including the dog of Nnamdi Kanu known as Jack. Oyendo explained this to Justice James Omotosho for him to understand the gravity of the case before him. For him to know that a man who they have come to kill you, it only behooves on that man to find a way to save his head. Like in the case of those men they call, that all went on exile. It is normal thing. Nadeko, when Abacha was after them, they all went on. Even Tinubu, the president, he claimed he went on exile, and the rest of them. So it only makes sense that if the governor, the might of the power of the government is after you, that in your home, your parents have lost their lives, it only makes sense for him to leave Nigeria in fear of his life. Because no man can stand against the might of a government. He found himself in Israel. From Israel, he was able to find himself back to England, where he kept on doing the broadcast. And suddenly, all these charges against him, when it comes to NSAS and the rest of them, he was in England during the time of NSAS in 2020. So all this charge brought against him, if they were criminal offenses, Nigeria does not have the onus to try him because those charges were committed, or those so-called offenses were committed in England. So on what moral ground is Nigeria trying Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Justice James Omotosho looked at the whole case. He was nodding his head and he said the trial or the defense will continue on the 7th of November. That was how it went today, my people. He was able to, even though he was asking at first, the previous dates, he was asking the judge to tell him what case, what charges known to the laws of Nigeria are they charging him with. But I believe from the preambles you've heard of his defense, you can see this man is a meticulous man, a man with high sense and foresight. He has come in a dimension that Justice James Omotosho will have to understand that the man before him is a victim. And Nnamdi Kanu before James Omotosho is a victim. Hence, we are calling on James Omotosho, Mr. James or Justice James Omotosho, do what is right. Do not come with this tribalized game that you have been doing to us way back since 1967. Do what is right. The man before you has no case to answer. What you should be doing is blame and condemn the actions of your government. From the days of Buhari, who did what he did to this man. In 2015, they saw Nnamdi Kanu as a problem, but now we know that since 2009, terrorists, Boko Haram, ISIS, ISWAP, they were ravaging Nigeria, but you guys did nothing about it. They were palling with them. They were doing deals with them. They gave them a mandate to come and Islamize Nigeria, to take over the lands of the Christians. Genocide was happening. People were fleeing from the land. And in a way to cover the crisis, they wanted to keep it in-house, so they came with what they call the IDP camp, the internal displaced people. How can you be displaced in your own country? In a time of war, all you have are refugees. This is the first time in my life I'm hearing about IDP, where they say there is a war, but they are housing you within. No, what they are doing is to shield the havoc, the genocide they are doing to the Christians. Because when there's a problem in the house, and instead of the husband or the wife to go out and tell their neighbors, instead, they want to hide the problem in-house. Because one of them is, to an extent, enjoying how things are. They are benefiting from that problem. Because if the problems are genuine and you know there's a problem, you will go out to the public, you will go to the world, you will go to the media and tell them, there is a problem in the house, there is fire on the mountain. I want you all to come and see what's going on in Nigeria. Instead, your Nigerian government, at a time when Boko Haram was at an all-time high, they left Boko Haram. They were creating IDP camp. But the only man who told us that they were coming. The only man who warned us, the only man who raised an alarm of the coming of Boko Haram, ISIS and ISWAP, that man was arrested. That man was the enemy of Nigeria, of the Buhari government. Now you understand. Now you get it. Because to call a spade, in the year 2012, when IPOB started their movement. There was a president in office then, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. For 3 years, there was no problem with him because he's somebody who understood that when you're asking for your fundamental human right, it is a right, they call it. It's a right to choose, a right to associate with who you want to associate with, a right to be in a so-called union, and a right to leave when you want to leave. That right, it curtails at a point that the process of living a country has to come in place. We saw in Britain during the time of their end, what they call it again, the Brexit, when they were about to leave Europe, all they had to do was to look in house, discuss, present their matters to the people of Britain, those who were pro Brexit and those who were against Brexit. And at the end, a voting was done. And today, Britain is out of Europe. You see how civilized that country is? When we say Nigerians are animals, you guys get angry. But only in an animal kingdom will asking for a referendum means war. Only an abusive husband will beat the wife black and blue when she asks politely for a divorce or a breakup, or so sometimes a separation. Let us distance ourselves. I need my space for the next 6 months. Can you keep to yourself for 6 months? And let's see how things are. Those are the first stages before it goes to what? A full-blown divorce. But in Nigeria, the moment you ask, you are being seen as the enemy. They will send their military to kill you in the process. This is what they did to Nnamdi Kanu. A man who even went to Britain and holiday to Kenya. They still chased him down to Kenya. If they can chase Nnamdi Kanu to Kenya, how come the terrorists, the Fulani militias as they call them now, Boko Haram, ISIS, ISWAP, how come they can't chase them to just the Sahel? How come? But you can go to Kenya to chase Nnamdi Kanu, to kidnap Nnamdi Kanu. So fellow Biafrans, today was a good day. I believe Justice James Omotosho, he needs to get this in his head that this tribalism nonsense will not work. Do not fall for the okie-doke. You have cajoled this man to make a defense. He told you pump and plain that he has no case. Set him free. Why is he being detained? But you kept on telling him to please, please, and please. Just make a defense. Their own stuff is not that strong. Just make a defense and make my life easier. Make a defense and we shall understand. You were pleading with this man, hence he entered the preamble of his defense by laying down all the information, laying down all the claims, laying down the attack, laying down the abuse of his life and his family, laying down what your government did, your Nigerian government, the Buhari government, at a time when Boko Haram was doing what they were doing from 2009. They kept a blind eye to Boko Haram. Instead, the Buhari government, that dirty, stinking ostrich who is rotting in his grave, who will never see peace in his grave, that animal went to the home of Nnamdi Kanu in 2027. In the process, he killed 28 people. 28 people lost their life in the home of Nnamdi Kanu, which led to the death of the father and the mother of Nnamdi Kanu. Justice James Omotosho, show me justice. Where is justice in your law court? A man who has gone through this, a man who was antagonized by your own government, he has gone through hell. By God's grace, out of the whisker of sheer luck, they were not able to kill him in that house. Because some men chose, some dedicated followers chose. They said he was the future of Biafra. Instead, they came as a body shield. While the bullets were coming, they just decided to form a body shield to protect Nnamdi Kanu while he scaled the fence. In the process, 28 people, 28 body shield, 28 human shield lost their life in the home, in the compound, in the village, in the house of Nnamdi Kanu. Justice James Omotosho, you must do what is right. Wipe away tribalism from your eyes, because as we speak, the CDS right now is a Yoruba man. As we speak, your president is a Yoruba man. As we speak, the AGF is a Yoruba man. As we speak, the DSS man is a Yoruba man. As we speak, you yourself going through the case of Nnamdi Kanu, you are a Yoruba man. As we speak, the prosecutors bringing this case against Nnamdi Kanu, they are Yorubas. We are calling upon Justice James Omotosho to do what is right. Respect the law and let this man go. Let Nnamdi Kanu go. Set him free. Set him free, because he has no case to answer. Fellow Biafrans, I will come back later to wrap up this one. But for now, you've heard what happened. You've seen how it went. I'm assuring that our leader has no case to answer. Once again, please hear the statement made by the legal counsel of Nnamdi Kanu, headed by our lawyer, Ejimako. Thank you. May God bless you.